All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan on a positive Monday. Positive Monday. The sun came up. Everyone's happy. Everything's all good, right? All the home teams won over the weekend.
If the traffic on the way in here was any signal for tonight, 7-0 Leafs. I went 401, didn't stop once. It put me in a good mood. I'm like, today's the day. The sun is shining. And tonight, what it is, in Beantown, and we're going to break down what happened on Saturday night, but what's going to happen tonight is just an awesome opportunity. Like everyone,
Positive
the sky is falling.
Positive Monday.
Positive Monday. Positive Monday, guys. Because it wasn't pretty, let's be honest, on Saturday night, correct?
Yeah, I would say of the 6 games that were played over the weekend, the most lopsided game was the Leafs and Bruins. Like even Washington was in it, and then New York scores 3 times in like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the Leafs, after that first shot of the second period went in, it was curtains. It was over. Game was over. And it was a disappointing start. It's a familiar start, right? Sheldon Keefe is now, he's been behind the bench for 6 series, and he's 1-5, or the team is 1-5 in game ones.
That's bizarre.
That's very bizarre. I think it was frustrating for a lot of fans on Saturday because some sloppy play, some undisciplined play, it unraveled. No one really stood out as if they were chomping at the bit. It's an unsettling start, but it's one game. Again, they've been in this position before. This time last year, we were doing the same thing, right? Leading up to game 2. Last year, they got pumped at home against Tampa. Like, they got pumped. And they responded well in game 2. They went on to win that series. Obviously, if you're a Leaf fan and if you're Sheldon Keefe and company, you're planning on a similar response tonight.
Yeah. But they do have to make up some ground, Hayes. But the one thing they have to factor in, they have to have a lot of guys play better. Their best guys got to be way better. But they have to have an understanding that the Boston Bruins and McAvoy and Pasternak and Marchand and Coyle and Zacha, I don't even think they played good. Like, can you say anyone played good on the Bruins where you're like, man, that was a handful? I thought Pasta was a ghost out there.
Yeah, he didn't.
Not the goalie was good.
The goalie, I was going to say, Noodles, Swayman, and we don't even know who's going to play tonight. It has to be Swayman. Yeah. We're back to where we were on Friday. Noodles, you're adamant, back and forth, back
Johnny
and forth.
too.
It's all Mark.
You think it'll be all Mark
it's
tonight?
all Mark. If there's a plan, whether it's Swayman the first 2 and then Allmark in game 3, but there's a plan and they're sticking to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Allmark's skating out. Keep in mind, like Swayman, I thought was really good when he had to be. Early on, Nick Robertson right pad save. He was good on the penalty kill. He was good in tight. They might follow it up with the Vezina winner from last year. Like, that's what you're facing. Like, this is a 2-headed monster. It's not just one. They might do it. I don't know. Jimmy Muntz is really enjoying the head games. What was he talking about? Wordle or something this morning?
Do you play Wordle? He referenced Wordle today, which I didn't know Jimmy Montgomery was a Wordle guy, but I like that.
Yeah.
Listen, I guess we'll find out. It does look as if Samsonov is going to play. The William Nylander story is really starting to get strange now. It's bothering people, myself included, just because I'm curious. What is going on here? And I understand their motto is, we're not giving you any answers. They're not entitled to give any answers. Their job is to prepare for games and win games, not inform the masses. But William Nylander is nowhere to be found in game 1. By all accounts, no one even saw him at the rink. Like, there was, to my knowledge, he was not even there at the game. And then the next day he's on the ice for an optional that very few players took, but he was out there. And this morning, he was out there and skating, and yet he stayed on with the scratches. He took very few line changes or line rushes, was not a part of the power play units. And that would lead us to believe he probably won't play tonight. And again, Sheldon Keefe just playing the playoff role that every coach plays. We'll let you know. We'll see how he is. But what the hell's going on with this guy?
Why not?
What happened?
Why not some clarity, and then the speculation wouldn't be rampant right now.
Right, exactly.
People are just
silly.
And you know how online can be in this market, but it goes everything from he was scratched to he had migraines to like, what the hell is it? How does a guy play 82, misses the first game, and then skates the next day? And then today you claim that he wasn't with
he's back on the ice for the pregame skate, but was not taking line rushes and was not in on the power play units, and then stayed out with the presumed scratches. So it's really a strange situation. And I don't know how you feel about it, Noodles. I've been asked by 45,000 people over the last 48 hours. I don't have an answer. No one seems to outside of the Maple Leaf room, but
like, would it be that hard to say, his head wasn't, I don't know what they could have said, but just some clarity.
Well, the question I have is there any type of mandate from the league that they have to at least report upper body, lower body? Is that's my first question. I have not got that answered.
Everyone but Noodles, they would lie anyway. Like, couldn't they lie? Okay. Are they allowed to lie?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Secondly, if he's able to skate, to me, you're able to play with. You've just played 82 games, so there's obviously something more. Whether it's protocol, whether it's something where there's either a time frame or something. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense because William Nylander played 82 games and then all of a sudden didn't play on Saturday and is not playing tonight. So if he's not playing tonight, you're assuming he's playing Wednesday at home. Like, that would be my assumption, but I don't know. Again, the speculation, you guys have been asked 50 times. So have I. I was on a plane. Guys asked me, what do you think? And I said, I don't know.
Nobody
but
seems to know.
He's skating.
Well, he is skating. I mean, there's camera on that. I mean, he skated yesterday. He skated today.
That usually leaks out, by the way, and this is airtight. Like, somebody tells a buddy that tells you. I don't know.
Right, and this is again where the Leafs, like, they don't have to divulge information, but they also better not, when all this dust settles, start scolding people for speculating. It's William Nylander not playing in the playoffs. If you're not going to give answers, people are going to speculate. That's the nature of the beast. Right. What I found interesting is a lot of insiders, ourselves, our guys included, they had info that said he didn't tweak anything in Game 81 or Game 82. So in other words, we're not going to give you any information unless we start really looking bad, and we better get information out to let everyone know. No malpractice on our end. He wasn't playing through something in Game 82. Right? Like, it's right. No information. Oh, we're getting crushed because maybe people think we played this guy when we shouldn't have been playing him. Let's make sure that information gets out, which, again, I think is very selective, obviously very self-serving. I find it personally impossible to believe this is discipline. Maybe a game. Even that. When did this team ever start doing this? Right? Like, when did they show discipline? It can't be discipline. It's not discipline. It's not discipline. So then what is it then? Not. What is it?
Like, that's the thing.
What is it? Is it a tweak? Is it a muscle? It's really starting to bother me because it's so goofy the way this league operates. Right? We're going to see Mark Stone come back tonight. He'll be flying. He'll play 21 minutes. And it's not lying, but it's deceitful. It's just deceptive.
Nylander's opposite Stone. He's
opposite Stone.
Playoff start, he's like, I don't play now.
Guys have missed a game due to injury in 8 years. And now the biggest games of their careers, and that's what it is. Until you win a Stanley Cup, every time you play in another playoff game, it's the biggest game. That's right. Biggest game you could possibly play.
Your new chance.
Your new chance. And that's what's on the line tonight. And listen, if he plays, great. If he doesn't, it's still no excuse. The Leafs have got to overcome this, right? If you have true aspirations of doing damage in the playoffs, one guy cannot change that for you. He's a really good player. He's a really important player. Obviously, they're better with him. But if he's not there, that doesn't mean you can pack up shop. And I don't think that's what happened the other night. I don't think it was Willie's not here, so we can't get going. It was just they couldn't find their mojo. And I think we've all seen the statistics. They've lost to the Bruins now 8 games in a row, 7 in the regular season, and then the 8th being Saturday night. The 5 times they've played them this year, they have not held a lead for 1 second. Not 1 second have they held the lead against the Bruins. That has to change tonight. I think mentally they're on edge. I think if the first shot goes in again, that is a massive, massive issue. They have to score first tonight, get some mojo, quiet that building down, and you got to score more than 2 goals. I think it's been something like 7 playoff games in a row. If you date back to their series against Florida and then the final 2 games against Tampa, they haven't scored more than twice.
Why not find some?
You got to score 3+ goals tonight.
On top of that, like, kind of a bigger picture type thing, And you saw yesterday, and all the home teams won yesterday. The home team, it's been a home team.
And in the NBA, it's crazy.
It's a home team fest right now. So, you're seeing the teams that are winning, and this is only basically a winning case scenario. It just doesn't seem like they take it all in, and there's no enjoyment. It's like that nervous energy of, oh my God, what am I going to say after this game if we lose? That's just, even if you do lose, it's just no way to approach it. Like they had a great start, 5 minutes, and as soon as that Reeves, like the pinch, and then Reeves went to hit the guy where he shouldn't have, it was in the net, it was like, should that really deflate you? It's like there's no jam, there's no, they all didn't cut their hair or do something like, this is our year, T-shirts with slogans. It's like, well, we're here again, we're going to give it a shot. They got to find some mojo, man.
Yeah, they do.
Some juice.
They got to come out with fight tonight.
You can, but you know what I thought, and tell me if I'm wrong, I thought they were trying to be too, like, let everybody know, like, that's the wrong wording. I thought they were trying to set the tone physically and let them know, like, hey, we are going to be, we're tougher, we're this and that. And they went overboard. Mm-hmm. Where Boston was like, yeah, we're fine, we're tough too. But, it was like they went over, like Max Domi like he was being a hero right from the drop of the puck instead of just going right after Marchand going.
Noodles. I think he looks at it.
I don't think he has to. I don't think he has to, because you know what? Marchand played him like a fiddle. And was laughing at their bench and stuff. To me,
no, Noodles. Let me rephrase that. I think he thinks that he has to because he's seen what goes on in here in the past, and he's like, I got to be the jam here, and I'm the guy that's got to stand up to Marchand. I'm the guy that's got to be physical and let the other team know that we're not going to back down. And he's overcompensating for it because he knows he doesn't do it. I'm not saying. I just feel like he thinks he has to do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think that was evident. Yeah, for sure.
Right. That was, I guess, the wrong wording. There was an overcompensation instead of going, I know I'm tough. I'm going to play tough. I'm going to play whistle to whistle. And if there's a extra glove to be had, I'll give you one, extra slash, all of that. But it was too much. And it was almost like he was on tilt instead of reeling it in a little bit. And then what happens is, to me, they lost it. And Boston ends up, and special teams are the difference. Honestly, power play, penalty kill, that was it.
Big difference. I think there's a lot of different things that came out of that situation that I'd like to see change coming tonight. Brad Marchand, he's incredibly frustrating, but he's brilliant at what he does. If the Bruins are winning, he will not get dragged in. Never. You will not find examples of him getting dragged. He will not do it. He'll take slashes and punches and go to the bench. He will not do it. Now, if you're up 3 or 4-0 tonight on him, look out, because he's coming. That's when he's going to try to do something.
Agreed.
And but he's too smart, and the Leafs need to understand that. I like that we always say this. Give me a guy you got to drag back into the barn as opposed to a guy you got to drag out. And that's what Domi was playing with. And I thought the slash, is that a slash? Of course it is. Do you see it all the time? Yes. Does Marchand do it all the time? Yes. I thought the reffing was pretty weak at times. And what I didn't like was Sheldon Keefe postgame, because the more and more I thought of it, because I think most people were frustrated too. The high stick penalties, those are silly penalties.
Costly, man.
Domi slashed him. There's no question about that. And I would guess the refs went to him right off the puck drop, like you said, Noodles, and said, I'm watching you now. You put yourself on notice. Yeah. And he got it, and Marchand sold it. But Sheldon Keefe has been behind the bench now for a long time. Yes, you're frustrated. Don't ever come out and bury your guy the way he buried him. You come out right after that game, and you attack the refs, and you say, all I saw was calls to us and not calls to them. You got to play the game, and that's a slash on Brad Marchand. You go at the refs and publicly say, that guy slashes us every single game.
Yeah, and by the way, he's got elbow pads that there's a 6-inch gap of skin, and he's not supposed to have that. And just come up with something different as opposed to a guy. He calls out Max Domi.
You can't do that, man. Behind closed doors, you have the conversation. We got to be more disciplined. But when you're speaking publicly, it's all a game. It's all a mind trick. Paul Maurice plays it brilliantly. John Cooper plays it. The greatest coaches of all time. They'll never bury their guy when it's a scenario like that. Where was it silly? Yes, absolutely. But he had an opportunity after that game to say, last time I checked, we had more penalties than they did. That shouldn't happen. I would guess it'll go the other way in game 2. Brad Marchand, I saw him slashing guys all night. I don't know why they didn't call that. Instead, it was Max screwed us. Max, that was silly. Can't do that. I didn't like that approach. No. I don't know if he'll change between now and tonight, but you got to play the game, man. And
he was too honest.
Yes,
too honest of
he was.
assessment. Instead of you're right, Brian. Like, this is politicking. It's politicking, and we saw even. I know it's regular season. Remember when Maurice put the 5 up to 0 on his chest, like pointing at the ref, like, "Hey, the Leafs have had 5 penalties, we've had 0." Like, it's politicking. And to me, you're right. Max Domi's been great. There's a reason why he's played on the top line, and he brings the jab. You can reel him in. I just thought he got too overzealous, and he was unable to drag it back in at the right time. Now, there's a fine line. Tonight, he'll know, I'm going to play hard. I'm going to go whistle to whistle. If it gets ugly, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to do all these things. Initiate, don't retaliate, all of the cliche sayings that we have. But the bigger picture, he was one of the only – I just thought there was too many guys that were passengers that were going out of their way to hit instead of making plays, because the Bruins made plays, and that was a different. The Bruins' third line was very noticeable. For me.
They were
very noticeable. Like, that was the difference. Is there wasn't enough guys that you could point to after the game and go, that guy played really well. That guy played really well. And to me, there's a lot more that group has to play better. And it's one game, so positive Monday. You move forward instead of looking back.
Yeah, listen, again, it wasn't a positive start. They lost. They put themselves in a spot here where your back's up against the wall a little bit. They have their history, which obviously it's on them to turn. But that is the beauty of the playoffs in sports, is every night you get another opportunity to change your reputation.
That's what's available
to build on
tonight.
your legacy. It's a beautiful thing.
It's almost, I always get different feelings thinking if I'm a player, and I'm like, man, if I'm going to the rink today, you get to go back with positive momentum, tied 1-1, and try to take advantage of the series at home. That should be a great feeling.
Exactly. You win tonight, it's great.
That's right. It's a great feeling going back home. There shouldn't be tension or feeling bad about what happened in game 1. It's just, I don't know, but can they seize that? Can they think that and just be loose and go out there and play? Because I told you, that look on their face where it's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen if we have to talk to the media after this loss. There's no way of having success like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a sports psychologist, but to attempt to play any professional sport with that type of feeling, you're screwed from the start, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's energy involved in all of this, and if you lose tonight, you're coming home. There's going to be a lot of negative energy waiting for you. The series isn't over, but do yourself a service tonight and show up and battle and get on the board. They got to score 3+ goals. They have to. You can't win in this league if you're only going to score twice in the playoffs. You have to put goals on the board. I mean,
who's ever in net for the Leafs, like, you saw that save Demko made on that 2-on-1 last night. It was disgusting. Yeah. It was early on in the first or second period. It might have been the first period, but he got across, and it's like, that 2-on-1 in Boston, that's a tough play for a goaltender. But once in a while, man, at that time of the game, you got to get a stop. It might be miraculous. It's an outrageous save, Noodles. I know you would think that, and it is. But once in a while, it's like, man, you make that stop at 0-0. But in the net, first shot in the second period, in the net.
Yeah,
got no chance.
That's what's crushed. When the first shot on goal goes in, the first period and second period, Wall had that issue coming down the stretch, right? Like, that was the concern, is that the game would start so quickly on your back heels that you're chasing it. And again, I do think you can simplify it to, you got to score first tonight. Like, if you're Sheldon Keefe, and you can't force that. You just got to play your game. And if you get scored on first, so be it. You can't sink. But they've lost 8 times in a row to the Bruins. They have their history in that building. It's a tough building to play in. It's even tougher when you're down, when you're psychologically feeling like, wow, we're really going uphill, and I don't know if this guy's going to stop the next one. Like, it's got to be a big night for Samsonov. I appreciate, and I think it's the right play to put him back in, because I think if you go to Wall tonight and then he struggles, you're screwed. Then you've played your card. I think you play Samsonov tonight. I think you challenge your group. I'd stick with the same lines based on what we saw at skate this morning. It appears as if that's the case. And
challenge your group, Brian. I don't even know what the hell that means. Isn't this just like a play?
Well, no, I understand that, but they didn't look like a challenged group in game 1, right? They looked like a team that was kind of just
the Bruins are the challenge. If that's not in your brain and the Bruins don't challenge you and you need a coach to come in and rev you up, you're in the wrong industry, man.
Yes.
Like those other teams, the Winnipeg Jets, do you think Bones had to go in there and say, you guys ready? It's the Avalanche over there. I'm trying to psych you up. That's insanity. The Bruins are the challenge.
Then where was it on Saturday
Dude,
night?
I don't know, but if it's not there tonight, they're toast, so they better find it.
They got to find it.
It was there, but I come back to, I think there was a mindset of like, we're going to be physical. That was the focus. And then they never got to be physical and settle into their game. They never got their game going. And you want to talk about crazy games. How about that Colorado win? Like there was some awesome hockey on the weekend.
Games. Yeah.
Awesome hockey. But you're right. Like I come back to the Leafs. You've got an opportunity here. You know what it's like. There was some first timers, some young guys in the, farther down the roster. I thought Robertson, he got pushed off pucks a little bit. There was a few guys in that bottom six that were still kind of finding their way. But you got another opportunity tonight. It was one game. You park it regardless if you lose 5-1, 2-1, whatever. You lost game one. You got to come back at it at game two. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Someone had to lose game one. You could have lost in quadruple overtime. Someone has to lose.
Still lost.
You went down to Boston and you needed a split. You still have that opportunity. Like, that's it.
And
tonight.
seize momentum. Bring it home with momentum. Great
Absolutely.
feeling. Great opportunity.
Yeah, you get a win tonight. That's the beauty of the playoffs. It's a roller coaster, man. It's thoroughly entertaining. It's a lot of fun. It's nerve-wracking, but let's see what they got.
And I will say this for everybody that's writing them off, and we've all had our thoughts and comments. For the most part this year, they've responded after a loss. Like, they've had some ugly performances where you're like, man, what's that? Next game, great opponent, they would respond and play well.
Yeah, well,
they got to do it.
They have to. Exactly. It's the playoffs. There shouldn't be a pep talk. They don't need to know.
When you said they need a pep talk, I almost passed out.
I never said pep talk. I never said
you
pep
did
talk.
say, well, you alluded to you should, the coach going in and fire him up.
No,
That's why the guy beside you's head almost flew off
Coach
his bottom.
needs to challenge
them.
If you need challenging in the playoffs, I'll tell you what, man.
Well, I mean, listen. Again, it's not it's not an overly deep challenge. It's score first, and you got to score at least 3 times.
It's a Vladdy challenge at second base.
Yes, exactly. It's
He's waving.
He throw his finger.
Oh,
up.
he was going like
Yeah, that's the challenge. Give me a challenge. Give me a challenge.
I would have loved to seen you on the couch, by the way, when the challenge, the Vladdy, and it was out, and you knew it. You must have lost your mind.
I was flabbergasted because I remember exactly watching it and being like, dude, it's not even close. I understand you're embarrassed and you got caught. That's all that was. He knew he was out, but he's like, you got to do me a favor and pretend.
It was closer than you think.
Please do me a favor and pretend. And that's what he was looking for. He's like, at least mull it over. Mattingly, Schneider, someone mull it over. Please throw me a challenge here. I don't think they did challenge it. I'm pretty sure they didn't because I think Schneider was like, dude, you're out.
He looked at it. They had their guy look at it, and then he was like, come on in.
Yeah,
you're out.
That's enough. Here, you do this first. You do this next. You're coming in. Everyone's coming in. Right? It's like a pool that's closing, a public pool. That's enough. Get a whistle. Come on, Vladdy. All right, Chris Johnston, Jonas Siegel coming up from the rink tonight. Struddy will join us. Game 1 of the Oilers and LA series tonight. Game 1 of the Vegas-Dallas series as well. We had a weekend chock full of action. The Winnipeg game was great. The Vancouver game was great last night. So there's a lot to get into as we look back. And again, Leafs Bruins tonight, game 2. Doesn't sound as if there'll be any lineup changes unless Willie gets in, and the lines will likely stay the same. How do we feel about it? We'll break that down next. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. We're talking about Sheldon Keefe and his comments on Max Domi the other night. As he was addressing the media, I just saw Mark Masters tweet out. We'll try to get this audio and video for later on, but he said, quote, this is Sheldon Keefe about Max Domi. He got caught on the penalty. I know their guy's probably going to do the same slash probably 10 times the rest of this series, and we'll see if he gets called on it. But I love Max's intensity, end quote.
Amateur hour. That's to actually have, to be that stupid to circle back on it and try to make up for it today. Once you screw up the first time, you don't try to double back and try to make it right. There's no going back. You said it. It was dumb. You brought up the great point. It's like you don't bury your guy. You get the refs involved and talk about the penalties against. And it's worse. It's amateur hour, and it's a rookie move by a guy that's been around a long time to do that. And if somebody went up to him and said, that was stupid, Sheldon, and then he circles back and brings it up to the media, hasn't he learned about doubling back on his comments? If you're dumb enough to make them, just try to be smart about it and just stand by them and let them blow them away. Because circling back on it in the Stanley Cup playoffs is insane. It seems like junior stuff.
Yeah. That had to be said Saturday night.
No kidding. How do you not know that? You've been around for a long time.
Yeah. That's when people are paying attention after the game, not at 4:30 before the game. The refs aren't even paying attention to this. You have to play the game. It's politicking, like you said. Everything you say in the playoffs for a coach counts. Every single thing you say. And you have to lean on the officials. Even if they were justified calls, you lean on them. What did Paul Maurice do famously last year? He put up 6 or whatever it was, and then leaned in. A lot of calls against us. Wow, I saw the other team. Don't ever say, well, stupid penalty bar, our guy can't do. Lean on them. Lean on Marchand. Lean on the refs. You're in a hole. He did himself a disservice on Saturday night.
It's just stupid. Well, it's amateur hour, man. You need better from your coach.
You hear veteran coaches, like I remember Daryl Sutter would somehow take the attention off his team. And he would, take a shot at a reporter or make it about himself being crusty or something. And now all of a sudden you're talking about Sutter, and you're not talking about his team not playing well or something going bad.
And Jamie, Daryl wouldn't single out a guy like that. He would never do that.
Not at all. I mean, but
exactly.
That's the thing. It's all about politicking. Like Hayes got the point right. You got to be. This is a long series. This is about the politics of the series. Going, hey, the power plays for what was the power plays? 5-3, 5-2.
Yeah.
They got more calls. Jeez, would like to, hopefully, like that's what you got to be pointing out. Jeez, didn't like some of the hits there. Didn't like the, you start to basically shape the way you want the season or the series to go. That's what you have to do as a coach.
Mm-hmm. And you had a great saying too. Barn in, barn out.
Yeah, I think I nailed that. You're questioning if I hit that. I said I
don't tell people.
No, I know, but I think maybe this is a poll question. Noodles, you can be the arbiter here. I said I'd rather a horse you got to drag back into the barn than a horse you got to drag out of the barn.
Here's what
I think I got that right.
You didn't say horse. You said guy.
Well, why would a guy be in the barn?
Because I was thinking a barn fight, and you had to drag the guy into the barn because he's a wimp, and you're like, "Come on and help." Instead of,
all right,
it was
I don't
confusing.
think we got to go.
All right,
we got to go back on that. But I knew exactly what you'd rather settle him down, like reel a horse back instead of letting him run wild. That's what you were saying. We all knew what the saying was, and you're right. But that was the. We used to say that year after year when Kadri would run somebody's head into the boards, and then you're like, geez, we got to reel him back in a little bit.
Right.
But that wasn't the case. Max was excited. He was trying to show his emotion right from the drop of the puck. It got the best of him, and he needs a slight response tonight. He might have the same response. He just might not get the call.
Yeah, I love this play with McAvoy. Give me that every night. Punch him in the head 3 times. He punches you once. Coincidentals. That's perfect. You'll take that all night. That's your play. And that's what he was trying to drag Marchand into, I think. But listen, I like it. Sounds as if the lines are going to stay the same tonight. And I think that's the right play. And naturally, the last 48 hours, people have been discussing a lot of different angles. And unsurprisingly, the Matthews and Marner reconnecting conversation has arrived. It took one game, and it's arrived. I personally would stick with what was working down the stretch, and you get to challenging. This isn't something you need to voice necessarily, but actions can speak louder than words. I'm going to both these guys and saying, if you got to do it yourself. Like you are good enough, and you're both paid well enough, and you're both veterans, and it's your 8th year in the playoffs. If you need each other to succeed, we're screwed. That can be helpful. That's a card we will play at some point for sure. But the idea that you have to put Matthews and Marner together or else they can't be at their best says a lot about the last 8 years. Like, I'm going to both those guys and saying,
there's no savior here.
There's no savior. You got to create on your own here. Austin, you're going out with 2 guys you scored a ton with down the stretch.
Just like a GM when he comes into the room and says, we're not trading for anybody, guys. Nobody's coming in to save you, so you got to dig out of it yourselves.
Right.
Same thing.
Solutions in here.
Exactly. Let them, Mitch Marner's got to be better. John Tavares has got to be better. I thought he was really good on Saturday night. I thought he was nervous at times. He had a one-timer in the slot from Domi in the first. He never misses that. He fanned on it. He hit the post on what was a pretty crazy play, but feels like he scored that in the regular season, and it just, he overshot it. But hopefully the nerves are out because he had opportunities. I thought he skated well. He looked powerful. He was in the game. But the fact of the matter is, if you're the best goal scorer in the world, which he is, you got to score goals, man. It's not shot attempts anymore.
But
You
go
got
through the last
to
8
score
games
goals.
in the playoffs these guys have played.
Yeah.
Look at the big boys.
They have to
there's
step
like
up.
4 total of them. It's like you need 4 a night. You got to try to get 4 to win the game.
Yep.
Especially on the road.
Have to.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be an intense effort. But I also think, like, that was the one thing with Willie missing. That was going to be the secret weapon of the depth, right? You were going to have Willie potentially on that third line or whatever. But he's not. He's not available to you. I don't think he'll play tonight. I think there are people that
This is even the more bizarre.
Seems that way.
I always thought in the Stanley Cup playoffs, if you're going to have the audacity to go out there and do some spin around bag skate, like, why aren't you playing? So that's what I don't get. It's all about playing the games. Nobody cares about practices in the playoffs. So it's like, if he can't play, save it for the game. Why are you going out there doing drills with the Black Aces and wasting any type of health? The situation's starting to bug me because
It's strange.
It is strange.
It's
like,
strange.
If you can't play until Wednesday, go back to Toronto and get therapy. What in the hell are you doing out there on the ice practicing with other guys?
Yeah.
Doing 2-on-0 drills.
It's strange.
I've never heard that.
Again, because he wasn't in a red, like, non-contact jersey
No.
today. He was in a standard top 6.
And in the playoffs, it's like, okay, you're putting your skates on, you're going on the ice. That means you play tonight. You can play. Mm-hmm. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And if it's a tweak or this or that, then go home and wait till Wednesday if that's when you can play. It's just,
I don't know. We don't have the answers. I mean,
Noodles, do you know what I mean, though? Like, why the hell is he going on the ice?
I was just going to say, I wish he was like Evander Kane. Evander Kane announces his, like, I thought that was weirder than the Nylander
I thought that
situation.
was too. The sports hernia out of nowhere. It's like, why are you revealing that to the world right now? Been playing with it all year, but now I want everyone to know right before Game 1. Strange timing.
I don't know that was all about. I thought it was just weird, but that's a type of transparency we're all dying for. Because you want somebody like Willie to go, hey, I did this. I tweaked my back. I tweaked my groin. I'll see you in a couple days.
Yeah.
Evander Kane's like, I've been playing with a sports hernia. I'm good, though. We had to rest in a couple days. I'll be fine. I'll see you.
If you tweaked your back or tweaked your groin, you just get treatment until you can play the game that night. There's no doing bag skate drills with all the other Black Aces because it's wasting an opportunity of retweaking or re-injuring things. You get your ass back to Toronto. That's why, I don't know. It's just starting to bug me where I'm like, what are you doing out there?
Well, maybe he'll play tonight. Maybe he just comes flying out of the tunnel and is like, I'm good to go.
Love to see it.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. And listen, as we've said countless times, regardless of who's in the lineup, it's not an excuse. You got to go out there and play. Having Willie would be a big benefit, clearly. Great player, great season. A guy that's shown up in the playoffs, a guy that they need offense. We can't hammer that home enough. They need to score. And again, I'm looking at Matthews tonight. I'm looking at Marner tonight in particular. I didn't love Morgan Riley's game the other night. He's got to get moving. He's got to get up in the play. Like last year, that's really where he was a huge benefit to this team and huge positive in that series against Tampa because, he was creating a lot. And, there was nothing off the rush the other night. And that's tough in the playoffs to clog up the neutral zone. Boston's a really smart team, good team. But you got to find a way to get moving off the rush. You got to get more traffic around either Swayman or Ullmark, much like they did against Vasilevsky last year. Like it was well stated. You got to get to the front of the net, throw a million pucks on net, and see what's going to go in.
I'm going to say the same thing to you that I said to Carlo this morning because Carlo was doing X's and O's with me on the radio on First Up this morning, and I said, it's just about a bunch of guys that need to play better. Austin Matthews has just got to say, I'm going to be the best player on the ice. Mitch Marner's got to say, I'm going to be right behind them. I'm not going to get outplayed and on the score sheet or just general play from Pasternak. They just have to have that mentality. Just play better. Like we can talk about the neutral zone, creating traffic. If they all do what they're supposed to do, they're some of the most talented players in the world. But if you go out there and you just morph into a ghost, you just blend into everybody else. You got to just do your thing and play better, and you're going to get the results. It's very simple.
And it's the formula's there. Like, take a look at the first weekend of games. I'm sure there were some great goals, some couple highlight, but not all of them were highlight reel. It's throw it to the net, it's bang away, it's screenshots, it's traffic in front. Like, I saw 5 or 6 goals easily where the goalie didn't see it. He's just trying to guess. He's looking left. It's going right. It's all that type of stuff. That's playoff hockey. Yes, you're going to have a breakaway goal. Yes, you're going to have a pretty power play goal here or there. But for the most part, it's going to be ugly, and you got to find a way to get in there into the muck and get your goals that way.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's what's at stake tonight. We got a bunch of games in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. People writing in with different sayings that maybe I should have gone with. Mike tweeting in saying, I'd rather tame a lion than wake up a donkey. That's a good one. Dwight tweeting in saying, it's better to have to rein in a thoroughbred than to have to kick a mule.
There we go.
That's a good one too, man. That's a really good one. Yeah, there's good ones. Maybe the horse in and out of the barn just didn't land, but what I was driving at.
I'm going to have to talk to my dad about that one because that was from his era, and he's going to give me some clarity tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, give me some clarity.
Because I'm kind of 50-50 on you whether you, butcher's ass butchered that.
Possibly. I did say horse.
George Bush.
Right? Yeah, it could have been a George Bush.
Fool me once.
It's an old saying in Tennessee or Texas or wherever. All right, Chris Johnston coming up in 25 minutes. Again, we've got the Oilers back in action. Tonight we'll start teeing that up. Jason Strudwick will join us. Jays took 2 of 3 over the weekend. They're in Kansas City tonight. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Chris Johnston coming up. Getting a lot of messages from people about how they're preparing for Game 2 tonight. Just the playoffs in general. It's just so awesome. You got 4 Canadian teams. Edmonton, I'm sure they're just like, can we get going here, please?
No kidding. How are people prepping? Are they getting into it?
Yeah. I've had people send me messages about, growing out their beards. I had a woman just send me an email that her husband's a big fan of the show, and he went full skullet for the playoffs this year.
How do you give yourself a skullet?
I don't know. But
toilet bowl, bald on the top
so.
And around?
Yeah, I guess he was growing his hair out, and he said, I'm going skullet for the playoffs. So I have an appreciation for that. That alone means the Leafs have got to step up, right? Leaf fans are pulling their weight. But what a cool scene in Winnipeg last night. Cool scene in Vancouver last night. That Georgiev, if he doesn't find a way to make a stop.
Dude, he's not going back in there. If you think he's going back in.
He is, and Noonan's still sick. They announced it today. He's not playing.
Oof. Oh, yeah?
Georgiev, they have to play.
I'm going beyond a Noonan's.
Well, yeah, who are you going to play?
Al's brother. They got Al's brother playing as the third goalie.
You might as well pull the goalie, though, and go 6-on-5. You have a better chance. Last night, that Georgiev, 7 goals on 23 shots. That is heartbreaking if you're Colorado.
And guess what's happening? Guess who else is going to say, you got 6 on me that game. You're not getting 1.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That Hellebuck is going to be so horny the next game. It's not even going to be funny. Noodles, do you not agree?
Right. 100%. You score 6 on the Vezina winner, he's coming back with a 2 or less type of performance. So Colorado's going to have to either change their game or block more shots or do whatever, or Georgiev can put his pads on because he was no good last night.
So Georgiev's going back in the net?
He is 100%, and I would start him too. And Noonan, it's not like a Noonan is George Vezina. He's their backup. There's a reason why.
Noodles, I think you said that guy's name last year one time. That is only the second time in my life I've heard the name of Noonan's.
He's got a huge head. That's all I remember walking by him.
I remember you saying that last year. You're in. But that's another thing. These teams, you put together a team with Nate McKinnon, had one of the great seasons of all time, most points in Colorado history. How did you not know in January 1 that Georgiev wasn't the guy?
They're capped out. And plus they were adding depth where they felt they needed depth.
Okay, Noodles, you call it a goalie. You call it a league goalie.
I understand that. But the argument, the counter argument to what I say is Aiden Hale was the 4th or 5th on the depth chart. Vegas won the cup last year. That's what people say to me all the time. Look at Jordan Binnington was 5th in St. Louis's depth chart in January. All of a sudden he took over and won a cup. I only say this. You only notice goaltending when you don't have it. Mm-hmm. Colorado didn't have it. They gave up a touchdown last night. A touchdown. They got to be better next game, but the goalie has to be better. Or else they have no chance.
One guy has to be better.
I'll tell you
one guy.
One little nugget on Colorado. They did show championship pedigree because it was out of hand. They could have said, screw this, man, not into it. A miracle with 29 seconds
close.
left, they could have tied the hockey game. That's what a team that's playing for keeps does. They got a goalie without equipment on in their end, and they still continue to compete like that.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean,
Seriously.
Tampa did the same thing. Stamkos scored late, and they said, let's give it a shot here.
Yeah.
Anyway, game's probably over, but let's give it a shot. And, I mean, Colorado was out shooting them 11-1 to start the game, and they get on the board first. Nichushkin scores. The place is, you could hear a pin drop. They're like, this is outrageous. Colorado's flying. And then Georgiev, it's not like every goal was an awful goal. Obviously, there were some really nice goals by Winnipeg, but there were a few that you just simply have to stop. And the numbers alone, you look at it, you can't give up 7 on 23.
No.
It's untenable. You're never going to be able to win like that. So, great start for Winnipeg. Place was rocking. Same thing with Vancouver. I give a lot of credit to Vancouver last night because I'm sure there was a lot of nervous energy in that room, in that building. First time in the playoffs in a long time, taking COVID out of it, like with fans, conventional season. And they had to chase 2 leads. Right? It's 1-0 Nashville, and then it's 2-1 Nashville. And third period, you're down 2-1 in a building with nervous energy. That could have gotten away from them quickly. And I thought Quinn Hughes was unreal last night. I thought JT Miller was great last night. Great, like
and they weren't even really on the
tough.
board. I tell you what, that Dakota Joshua is stuffing some cash into his
Yeah, he
teams.
sure is. At
I
the
think
start of the
somebody
year, he didn't
put
even make the
today,
team, I don't
Chris
think.
Horvat tweeted out he was a Leafs draft pick.
Yeah, he was.
Not that we need to go down that rabbit hole, but
that's not.
He was. Positive Monday.
He's a nice player, and
how
he's
did
really
he end up there
in.
though? From the what was his path?
I'm not
I don't want to hear
sure
the
of the
path.
history.
I don't want to
Doesn't
hear the
matter.
path that he
Doesn't
got
matter.
traded for Jerry Malgin for the second time around or something. We
Yeah.
can't
Can you imagine
have that.
if he
Not
was
on
somehow
positive
traded for Jerry Malgin
Imagine
one
Malgin
time?
cost them Marchment and Joshua. And maybe
Well,
he was
wasn't-
in the Verhaeghe deal, too. Who knows?
Didn't Malgin have 2 tours of duty with the Leafs?
Yes, he did. He did. He got acquired, and then they were like, this guy can't play in the league. And then magically he showed up and signed a contract again and played again. And everyone in training camp said, this guy is going to win the Art Ross Trophy. And by Christmas, he was done.
Yeah.
Insane.
Cronies.
Yep.
The cronies had them
Cronies.
tabbed as
he was going to be the guy, man. That was Dubas's boy. When's he signing in Pitt? He should be down at Pitt soon, I would think. But, yeah, Vancouver and Demko was really good, too. Like, Demko made some really good stops early. And, like, that's what came out of who won yesterday. Not to circle everything back to where the Leafs are at, but the big boys got it done. I was watching that Panthers game, and it wasn't a fun watch. Like, it was if you love, like, it was tight checking, mean, but the shots were like 13-13 in the third or something. But it was Kachuk and Barkov and Verhaeghe and, Ekblad and Forsling and Bob stood on his head when he had to.
And
like,
it's just
that's the story, man.
It's contributions. And I talked about you talk about the big boys. Alexis Lafreniere yesterday is a guy that's known as a skill player from the Quebec League. You know how he contributed to a goal? He drilled a guy into the boards and stole the puck, and it created a goal. There's a way to contribute. Go on the forecheck and hunt somebody down and absolutely put him through the boards. Maybe you'll hurt him and put him out of the series. And he fell down, he hurt himself, and it ended up in the back of the net. It doesn't have to be stick handle through everyone and score. So Lafreniere, and I guarantee Lavi got in his ear and is always in his ear, wanting him to be better and wanting him to do more. And that's just a way to contribute. You know the goal I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
He hit the guy. He hurt him.
Yeah.
The guy left the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Rangers, Chris Kreider is a playoff performer, man.
That guy's flat out
How many
stud.
times have we seen him score the way he scored yesterday? He breaks loose. He makes the same play. It's like he always ends up on his backhand. It's always he's too fast. The goalie's, you would know this, Noodles. I mean, he's flying. And the guy's just a pure playoff performer. He's a playoff gamer.
The whole play was Zibanejad found it, but the minute Zibanejad turned and had the puck, Kreider was gone. He knew him.
Right.
Even I can't remember who was calling the game. I thought it was Ray, but it was. He said they've been doing that for years. Zibanejad knows exactly.
Yeah.
As soon as Zibanejad had the puck, Kreider blew the zone, and he hit him with a stretch pass, and he was gone. He weren't catching him.
Yep.
Like it was just. that's the beauty of the chemistry of those two. And Kreider, he gets the opportunity, he finishes it. But the Rangers looked quite strong. They looked good.
Well, they're the better team. I mean,
serious.
and Rempe,
Yeah,
shout out to that kid. Like, he scores the first goal. He threw it, I thought, a clean, good hit, and he gets called because he's Rempe. But, he's playing. Like, he played, he made a contribution. The Garden was going nuts. That kid has really made a name for himself. A lot of positive, a lot of negative, right? Suspensions and stupid stuff. But every time he throws a hit, the other team's like, you have to fight for that. And he's picking his spots now, especially in the playoffs.
By the way, you ever seen that trick that Kreider does in the pool?
Yeah, where he jumps out,
the guy
squats out of it.
stands in the shallow end and can squat down and jump out onto the edge of the pool.
Yeah.
I thought it was like fixed.
No, that's, by all accounts, real deal Holyfield.
He's a beast.
He can skate, and he's big. Yeah, he's a Ranger legend, man. He's been there for a long time, and he shows up in the playoffs.
50-goal man.
Shows up all the time. All right, hour 2 coming up. Chris Johnston from Boston. His take on what's up with William Nylander. What can we expect tonight? His take on Samsonov likely getting the start. The line's not changing. What the Leafs have to do differently tonight compared to Game 1. And we'll spin you around the NHL, including Oilers finally in action Game 1 tonight out in Edmonton. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.